Hey everyone, it's Tracy Martirana here from Holistic Wellness with Tracy. Today I wanted to welcome you into my kitchen while I make an Italian vegetable soup. I have my soup pot on the oven with a little bit of oil in it, and I'm just going to start chopping some veggies. I think pretty much every soup I make usually starts with onions, almost always celery and carrots as well. I'm only using 2 stalks of celery. You could use more, and really with any of these ingredients, you can use more. You can omit them, you can change up the veggies, you can make this soup your own. As I throw the veggies into the pot, I also just take a moment to give it a quick zhuzh, just to kind of coat the veggies in the oil, let them start cooking down. Peeling my carrots. Now I have to point out one of these carrots is organic and one of them is not. Can you tell which is which? And then you can chop the veggies into whatever shape you want, whatever size. If you like your soup really chunky, leave the pieces bigger. If you don't, make them smaller. And then I'm just going to let these veggies begin to soften as I move on to chopping up some of my other veg. I have both green and red bell pepper, so I'm using both. You could use whatever color pepper you have on hand. You could skip peppers altogether if they're not your thing. And I'm not using the whole peppers. I will save those for something else. I'm just cutting a couple good slices off them and dicing it up. And I'm going to add in a zucchini. You could use summer squash. Really use whatever vegetables that you have and that you like. If you want to see some other options, you can visit my blog post on this, where I will list out sort of the recipe that I made here and then ways that you can vary it. That link will be in the description box below. And then I just want to season this up with a little bit of salt, pepper, and I'm going to add in some Italian seasoning at this point. Stir it around, let those flavors sort of meld together. In the end, I wish I would have used a little bit more salt. It probably was a very, very scant teaspoon. I probably should have done a good full teaspoon. And then I'm adding a little bit of water, maybe about a cup, just to allow these veggies to really sort of steam and soften while I continue prepping other things. I like to add some tomatoes in here. Oftentimes I will use canned tomatoes or even fresh tomatoes, but I happen to remember that I had a bunch of tomatoes down in my freezer, so I am actually chopping frozen tomatoes here. Safety note, you really should let them thaw before you chop them. But it worked out okay. And now that my veggies are getting sort of soft, I'm going to add in some garlic. I don't like to add it too early because I don't want it to burn. I want to make sure there's enough juice sort of coming off the veggies before I add garlic. I used 2 cloves. Use more or less depending on what you like. And if you don't have fresh garlic, you could even use garlic powder. It would still come out okay. And I have this little bit of this partial tube of pesto in my fridge I wanted to use up, so I'm adding that in. If you don't have pesto, well, I do recommend it. It adds a lot of great flavor to the soup. You could just chop up a bunch of fresh basil and you'll get the same effect. And then adding in some baby spinach, just really trying to up the veggie factor here. I want this soup to be several servings of veggies. So I let that cook down a little bit, let the spinach wilt, and then I'm going to add in some liquids. Now, I like to add V8 in here because I feel like, again, it adds nice veggie goodness. It adds a nice tomato quality to the broth. I only used about a cup, but in previous batches, I've made it with like 2 to 3 cups. All depends on how tomatoey you want it. I also like the spicy V8 because I think it adds just a little bit of kick without being too hot. And then I added in a box of organic veggie broth. You could use chicken broth if you wanted, beef broth, really bone broth, anything you like. And then I'm going to finish it off with a can of cannellini beans. Because we're going Italian here, I decided to use Italian cannellini beans, but you could really add any bean you want or skip the beans and instead maybe add pasta or rice. That would also be delicious. And then I'm just serving it up with some fresh basil and some shredded Parmesan. They both just add a nice little pop of flavor. Add in a nice piece of crusty bread and you have a great healthy lunch or dinner. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you being here. Be sure to check out all these videos that I have. I'm sure you will find something you enjoy. Take care, my friend. Have a good day.